Hello guys, and welcome to the next tachograph tutorial video of transport info. In this video, as I promised in the previous video, I'm going to teach you how to compensate the reduced weekly rest. So visit www.transportcommunity.eu website, then transport, road transport, and tachograph regulations. And when you have the page, the first five we need 561 amended version, and of course we need the guide, the explanation of this regulation again, so this one. And if we take a look on the regulation, the 561, it says any reduction in weekly rest period shall be compensated by an equivalent period of rest taken en bloc before the end of the third week following the week in question. Let's see the explanation again. We have this picture here, and it's easier to explain, easier to understand. So let's say this is week number 1, Saturday, Sunday, just finishing that week here. This one is week 2, week 3, and week 4. And let's say we have a reduced weekly rest period on this week, which is week 1. And when the regulation says the third week following, and the point is before the end of the third week following the week in question, that means, so this is number 1, week number 1, so that's the first, second, and the third, and before the end of the third week. So that's the week in question, and the following first, second, third week, and before the end of the third week. And let's say if you have here only a 24 hours break, you have to compensate the missing hours, which is 21 hours, because basically you should take a regular weekly rest, which is at least 45 hours. And if you take a reduced weekly break, which is more than 24 hours but less than 45 hours, then you have to compensate those hours before the end of the third week. So that means you have to repay that 21 hours. But let's say you take a 30 hours reduced weekly rest, then you have to compensate 15 hours. Or if you take a 40 hours reduced weekly rest, you have to compensate only 5 hours. Let's see how to compensate those hours. Any rest taken as compensation for a reduced weekly rest period shall be attached to another rest period of at least 9 hours. And what is 9 hours? 9 hours is a reduced daily break. So you can attach those hours to a reduced daily break, a regular daily break, or again, reduced weekly rest or a regular weekly rest. So in English, you can attach those hours to the 9 hours break, to the 11 hours break, the 24 hours break, and the 45 hours break. I know it's easier to understand if you are a driver. But as I said before, for instance, if you have 5 hours to repay, and if you want to take a 9 hours break, and if you want to compensate, then you have to take at least 14 hours break, and the compensation has been done. So that means the repay just solved, no problem. And of course, if you want to repay those hours, you can do that earlier. So of course you can do that on week 2, week 3, whatever. But the latest time, the latest point is at the end of the 3rd week. So 1st, 2nd, 3rd week after the week in question, and that's it. And one more very important regulation that brought by the mobility package, but we knew that, of course, but no one has checked those regulations, as the regular weekly rest periods and any weekly rest period of more than 45 hours taken in compensation for previous reduced weekly rest periods shall not be taken in a vehicle. They shall be taken in a suitable, gender-friendly accommodation with adequate sleeping and sanitary facilities. Any costs for accommodation outside the vehicle shall be covered by the employer. So that means if you have 24 hours break, you want to take 24 hours break, but you have to compensate previous reduced weekly rest with 21 hours. That means altogether you have to take 45 hours or more than 45 hours. And if you have to take more than 45 hours somewhere outside, not on the yard, not at home, then you cannot take that break in the vehicle. So you need an accommodation, and that accommodation has to be paid by the employer. And as I promised in my previous video, I'm going to provide you with a secret, which is not a secret actually. It's easy to notice that, as lots of transport companies, they just don't care with the compensation, and you can ask why. And my answer is it's really difficult to check that. Even at the roadside check, as you see, the explanation of the regulation says, when checking for compliance with compensation requirements, an officer should attempt to establish when compensation for the reduced weekly rest has been taken through questioning of the company or the driver. So that means the tachograph, just go back to the picture, and the analyzing software has no clue about the compensation. Even the tachograph records only the missing hours. So if you take 24 hours, the tachograph and the analyzing software can provide you with the information with the number of the missing hours, which is 21. But have you compensated already or not, or what did you do? So they have no clue. The tachograph recognizes only a weekly rest. It doesn't really matter. It's just a reduced or a regular, and that's it, and starts the 6 days again, and that's it. So actually the tachograph and the analyzing software has no clue about the compensation, therefore really difficult to check. It is possible, but it's difficult, and that's the reason they just want to increase the 28 days to they just want to double it, so that will be 56 hours. Right, so that's it for now, guys. That's all about compensation. Don't forget to subscribe, join the transport community, and as I used to say, just keep your money in your wallet. Don't pay any unnecessary fines. Just mind yourself. Take care. Bye.